Good morning, students. Today we are going to continue with our previous chapter that we are learning about the later Vedic period. And we studied various important aspects as to what are the activities, social, economical, religious, social life, the system of Gurukul that existed during the time, and different classes of people which were divided into ashramas, or the system of living which was divided into different forms of ashramas, where we studied about brahmacharya, grihastha, vanaprastha, and the last sannyasa. Then we studied important things in regarding to the religious practices of the people, where they believed in three important identity of gods, which were Brahma, Vishnu, and Mahesh, or Shiva, where Brahma was the creator, Vishnu was considered as the preserver, and Shiva was considered as the god of destroyer, redemption, and soul, or the forgiveness of the souls. Now here we studied about the important epical books that were written during the time, which was known as Mahabharata and Ramayana, by Rishi Vedvyas and Rishi. And on the other hand, Ramayana was written by it was composed by an important person whose name was Valmiki, Rishi Valmiki. So they had their own perspective in different times, where it is stated that supreme powers, gods, they took incarnation as human beings, in form of human beings, and they came into this earth in different times of Ramayana and Mahabharata, and how they brought about redemption and salvations from the evils in the society or in this earth. In the same way, today we are going to understand about the concept of Hinduism, how it existed, and why it is considered as one of the important religion of India. Now, in Hinduism, it is termed that the word that states people to be Hindus has actually come from a Sanskrit language, or a word which is known as Sindhu. Now, Sindhu. Now, this word Hindu has come as, or it is derived from a word which was there earlier in Sanskrit, which is known as Sindhu. And this was actually in form of the rivers that flowed. In a previous class, we studied, right, the Aryans. When the Aryans had come, they had settled down in Sapta Sindhu. This word Sindhu was taken as the important word here from a Sanskrit word, and which from where the word Hinduism is said to have derived from, or got its existence from, where the Aryans had come and settled down. And the traces of Hinduism is not only that it was recently, or it was practiced by certain people in certain ways. It is said to have a long traditional background from a very long period of time. Now, on the other hand, this is one aspect of Hinduism. The second aspect, this particular religion has not evolved due to a philosophy or by a spiritual leader. It is not founded by a philosophical leader or an spiritual leader. Now, these two words that is written as philosophical leaders or spiritual leaders, that means what? It is not that some leader had come and started preaching about what was there in Hinduism, explaining people about what it is there existed, how it has been done, what you have to do, what not have to do to be done. Here, this was not prevailing here if you regard the origin or the existence of Hinduism. Here it is stated that Hinduism is a philosophy which existed by itself from the pattern of life that the people used to follow in the long back earlier times. The practices, the customs, the principles that they followed in the early Vedic period and maybe before that. And those practices were carried on, or it was transferred from one person to the another, and it has its own form, or it has its own way of ideologies and principles that have been noted down, which are not based on any spiritual leaders influence, or any kind of means philosophical studies that have been done by any individual. It is just a basic philosophy, which is, or the ideas that are being followed, or the customs or cultures or traditions that are where it is said to have been followed by a very long period of time, and that existed, and that beliefs and traditions mixing with the social life of the people, and it was transferred from one generation to the another. Now how it is done, it is that if you see the basic idea where in later Vedic period we studied, that the Aryans had come into this Indian territory, like to settle down. Now the beliefs and tradition and practices that they carried on was also brought by them to this country, and on that basis what has happened, the evolution or the existence of Hinduism and the practices that they carried on, or the traditions that they carry on, the evolutions of new things that they brought about, understanding the philosophy of life, the importance of gods and importance of the supreme power that existed into the earth during that time, understanding that the practices went on transferring from one generation to the other generation. Now in this, the third important thing which can be stated about the existence of Hinduism is stating or believing that God is omnipotent or omnipresent. God is omnipotent or omnipresent. What do you mean by omnipotent? That it is a special source of energy, or a special source of force and energy. This is a special source of force and energy that exists in and around ourselves. And believing that force, believing in that source of energy, understanding that there is a creator, there is a God that exists above all. And that God creates, or you can call, he is the creator and the destroyer and the preserver of in every individual aspect of their life, what comes and goes. So, which you cannot see, which you cannot feel it presence, or you cannot find it nearby you. It is just a single force, it is one. Omnipotent and omnipresent means what? It is not, it cannot be seen, it can be only felt, and it is one only present. And that Almighty is said to be the creator, or who has created all sources that is there in and around our system, or in and around our place. Now this source have stated to be coming from an important source of creation, or the creator, which is known as the Shakti. And from this Shakti, various different things have evolved. The concept is such that there was an existence of a Shakti, or a supreme power, a single supreme power, from where the creation of different aspects of our environment, or different creations have been done. And these creations have brought about evolution of other aspects of our life subsistence. The forces of the nature, the forces upon which we depend upon. And this dependability of different kind of forces to which we worship are one of the creations that have been made by a supreme power, which is known as the Shakti. Now here it is said that Hinduism is based on three important principles that it follows. So now we are going to understand about these three important principles. What are they? What are these three important principles? The foremost, number one, is dharma. Now this word dharma, what does it contain, or what does it state? Now this word dharma states that every person has moral duty, moral values to follow. And if the person follows that moral duty in a proper way, in a correct way, that person will definitely walk in the right path and lead to having a very precious life in present and in future, and in upcoming times also, in the next generation also, in the next birth also, he will have a righteous life, a good life that will be coming, or that will be done according to whatever the duties that is been performed by that person, which is known as the dharma. The next is about karma. The next principle upon which the Hinduism depends upon, or the principle which it is based on, is about karma. What is this karma now? Now, whatever things we do, that is dharma that we talked about, whatever duties or whatever things that we do, whether good or bad, okay, knowingly, unknowingly, okay. Now, all these activities that we do are judged as to what you have done correctly and what is not done, and according to that judgment, consequences or the results are being made. Like same as your examination, your duty is to study, do your studies part, and how do you know or understand that whatever I have studied, is it proper, or was it enough or complete enough? That what happens, the result that you give in your examination papers, and the checking has been done, the judgment has been done, and the reports that you get is the consequences. And according to that, what happens, what is the consequences? Either you get scolding from your parents if you're not done good. If you're done good, you get lot of gifts or things that you ask from your parents, you get it immediately. So these are the consequences, and even certain times if you don't do well, you are kept in the same class. And that you all, who are the sufferer at the last? You yourself, because of studies. Here also same concept you can see, where dharma is our duty to do something good. And if we choose, which is our own choices to do good or bad, and according to that doings, what happens, the consequences or actions are being done. And whatever we do and whatever we understand and activities that we do, the same result, the same kind of result that we are asked to get. If we do something bad to others, it may be that someday or the other, the same kind of situation we fall into we will face the same problem, we will face the same situation. It is said that whatever you put in the ground to grow, the same kind of thing will be growing. If a good crop is planted with good surroundings, with good fertilizer, good manure, what will happen? The plant will grow very healthy. If the soil is not good, the plant itself is weak, what will happen? In future also, the weakness will be there and it will not grow into a good thing. So whatever you sow, or whatever it is said, whatever you plant, the same kind of fruit you will get. Good, then good. Bad means bad. That is called karma. The third important thing is known as transmigration. What is transmigration? We have heard about when a person dies. We have heard from our parents, or while talking to our friends, or from somewhere or the other, or seen in movies also, or pictures, that when a person dies, his soul departs from his body, right? And it moves to get salvation, or it moves towards its own freedom and reach heaven. Now, in what circumstances all these things in regarding to having a proper or a good migration of soul depends. Transmigration of soul, where in Hindu philosophy it is believed that a person who has done good kind of activities, following moral ethics, moral principles, and doing good to the others. And when people they die, their bodies also are left behind and their soul depart. And if that body is, or the soul or the person who was there earlier before dying has not done good kind of activities or good kind of things, his soul does not get into a proper place or is not transferred to in a proper place. Okay, so to have a balanced form of life where after death also there are certain things which we should be remembering, that after death also the soul that departs needs a place to rest itself. Either it goes to heaven or it goes to hell. Or in certain times it is also seen that people they are reborn as human being again. Now if you do good activities or good things, you get a chance to get a rebirth immediately, which is again a blessings that is presented to you by God. Whereas your deeds or your doings have given you one more human life immediately. So, transmission of soul is one of the third principle that is followed by the Hinduism, the concept of Hinduism, where dharma, karma, and transmission of soul is three important essential principles or essence of Hinduism, which upon which it depends upon. Most of the principles and other ideologies or practices are based upon various important books that are there, or various important theological, mythological things that have been followed. There are Vedas, certain things such as Vedas are there, Upanishads are there, and then epical scripts are there. Very importantly, that is followed now by most of the Hindus. You cannot say most of the Hindus, but all the Hindus, that which is called as Bhagavad Gita. Now these are the important scripted, or these are the important written testament or books which are followed in various different concepts or various different practices of life of Hindu people who follow or practice Hinduism. Now, here in the next topic we are going to learn now about economical life of the people. How economical life of the people during this time has most probably had brought about various different changes into the life of the people. Now it is said that when the Aryans came here and they had dispersed kind of activities where nomadic life was left. Later on, when they kept on staying and transferring themselves from one place to another, when they found a suitable condition, understood the system of growing crops, they started settling down and they started having a settled life, where the main occupation of the people was what? The main occupation of the people was considered to be agriculture. In earlier times, it is seen that agriculture was basically or mostly focused in most of the as a main practice of the people, where through agriculture only they got a important part or the important essential thing that is called food into their life. So agriculture was mostly practiced, and in other ways when when there were discoveries of various other things into the life of the people, like iron, discovery of iron and other metals, more and more kind of tools and implementation of farming technique increased, which increased the productivity of the agricultural activities of the people. Now this period saw that there was various important developments. Not only agriculture is one of the important features of economical life of the people. The second, you can tell it as development of towns. Development of towns or cities were also seen, and a concept of barter system also developed. These are the important things of economic life of the people. economic life of the people, where various different important activities for sustaining of their life or for their livelihood, whatever they used to do. Some of the people, they used to make pots. Artisans were developed, where they used to make things with their own hands and exchange goods for goods, which is known as the barter system. All the systems started during this period and impacted the very important economical life or structure of the people during the later Vedic period. Now, the culture that brought about various changes into the life of people. Now, the Aryan civilization or the Aryans are known as the cradle of various important civilizations. Why? What is mean a cradle or birth of the other civilization? Because they are stated to have evolved the main civilization, which is known as the Indus Valley civilization. And those when impacted more development in the Indus Valley civilization, they brought about a new phase to the development of the Indus Valley, and the existence of or the prevalence of Hinduism is totally based upon the practices, philosophies, and things that were propounded by the Aryans in the later Vedic ages and the early Vedic ages through various different books like Vedas, Upanishads, uh, a different kind of epical stories or literature that were been written during the time or orally transmitted from one person to the another through guru to the sishya. Again, the sishya, when get adult, when they start imparting knowledge to the others, so it went on by hand, where in present times we have this tradition of Hinduism that is being followed, which has the traces of a long period of time, having its existence and having its importance. So, as we know that there also was an importance to a language that evolved, which is known as Sanskrit language. And this Sanskrit language, it is considered as mother of many different languages. From the Sanskrit language, it is stated that so many other foreign languages also evolved through this language. And one of the oldest, it is Sanskrit language considered as one of the oldest scripts of the world, where various important other finds or variations of languages or spoken and written were evolved from it. So India, if we conclude this, we can state that in India, it has a trace or it has its historical background from a very long generation period. We started from the early times of the Aryans, where people that time learned how to move from one place to another. They learned how to uh, do agriculture activities for the first time. That means what? During the primitive times, in the early ages or the stone ages, you can see the traces of the existence of the Aryans or the evolution of Aryans and the traces of Hinduism that was followed. Now, in your book, there are two important description or details given about Mahabharata and Ramayana in a small phase. Okay, I want you all to read these two things that have been mentioned here in page number 54 and 55, and try to understand basic concept that is given about what exactly is the importance of Mahabharata, the story about Mahabharata, and in brief and small detail, it is written about the story of Ramayana, which will give you a perfect idea as to what exactly happened during that time in a very short or limited words it is written here. So go through it and understand it in a proper way. So this is all for this particular chapter, which is stating about the early Vedic period and the people about the early Vedic period. So this is all for today. Thank you very much and have a good day.